So it's been a few years since the repair of this. I'll switch this on. It's another Patreon exclusive, I think. And you can see it's not reading a CDR. Now, one of my thoughts is it's to do with the height of this. I'm not sure I ever adjusted that, but it's really close to the laser there. And certainly with burnt media, it seldom ever reads the disc at all. Now, I did just try to pull like this just a little bit. You've got to be careful because obviously you could bend something out of shape here, you could damage the drive. And you can see it's on, you could feel it that it's on springy things here. I'm not sure if those are worn because those can be a thing sometimes, but obviously this bit here is the same, you know, it's on the same mechanism, so you can't really adjust that way. I'm going to need to take it to pieces, I think. But it's just not reading again, and I could have sworn last time I used this I got this working with burnt media. Maybe I'm wrong. So I think what I'm going to do is just going to whip the lid off and just try tweaking the pot marginally one way or the other. I'm not going to scope it or anything, I'm just going to do it blindly with a tiny adjustment and, you know, switch it the other way if it doesn't work. And I'll probably do this bit on my knee, just because obviously my knee's well, got a fabric, you know, pants on basically, and we're not going to scratch the underneath of this. And then, if memory serves, we can sort of carefully lift it up, flip it over here, like this. And this is where you've got to be careful because of this ribbon. Yeah, just check that, I haven't marked it, so I'm now going to mark it with a red permanent marker here. Just make sure that has marked it. Yep, I see the marker. And I'm just going to tweak this like a fraction. I can see exactly where it is at the moment. There, that screwdriver's not going to do it. Let's just get a jeweler's flat blade, quite a wideish one. I may scope it later. I might even try having a go with the Rigol there to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go clockwise. Just a tiny bit, barely even moved. Let's just give it another try. I just want to see if that little adjustment made any difference whatsoever. I'm curious though as to how. I'm sure I left it in a good working state with burnt media, but maybe I didn't. I'm not going to keep the audio, let's just see what happens. Switch it on. Hang on, home the tray. Get Super Stardust in. Well, it's picked it up straight away this time. So you know what, maybe it did need a little adjustment there. And pointing at the CD-TV, pointing at the TV, hang on. Struggling to read it, isn't it? Because that shouldn't take that long. This is the weird thing, I thought I solved these CD problems with this. Bear in mind it was recapped not long ago. I wonder if the recap means that something else is now out of calibration somewhere. I don't know, there's a number of factors. The original power supply I'm not using, you know, I've got one here that's got slightly less voltage. Is that the issue? Or is it the media that has degraded? Because, you know, CDR media like this, and it's been stored in a freezing cold room for the best part of 3 or 4 years. Is that the issue? It could be the media has deteriorated. Yeah, not getting anywhere with that. I'm just going to turn it back the other way. Yeah, so I've gone slightly the other way, you know, up towards the roof there in terms of the angle I was looking at. Yeah, it's not looking at it at all now, so you know what, I was going the right way. Because I put that mark on, it's really easy just to see how to move it back slightly further the other way. And I know this is it's not very scientific, isn't it? See what happens this time. No, it's not looking at the disc again. I don't get this. I don't get this at all. I am wondering if we've got a bad ribbon, like maybe this ribbon here is not in very well or something. I don't know. Let's just give it another slight tweak. And let's just inspect it. Yeah, it's pretty much back in its original position. Let's just go a bit further. Right, let's try that. That is further back. Nope, it's not looking at the disc, is it? I do not get this. I don't know, I can see me swapping the laser out of this again. I don't really understand how the laser is deteriorated, to be honest. Just making sure these wires are alright. You see, these are the units I don't like, where you've got all these wires like this. All these wires follow the movement of the sled. So, it's just a recipe for disaster if you think about it, isn't it? And these little rubber things here, these wear, you know, the drive sort of hangs down a bit, and all that sort of stuff makes a difference. Let's just see if it's any different now. Tweaks it again. Yeah, it's like straight away spinning. But I can hear it struggling a bit there. I think it's given up. Starting again. Yeah, focus is like head. You know, the lens is just going. You can hear it click, drops. Did it again. So it's having problems focusing. It's bizarre, this. And the main reason is because I just remember the laser that I got in this being a really good one, and to now find that it's not working is strange, because it's just been sat around, this unit. It's not like it's been overused. It started to spin then. Hang on, I was a bit too quick with the reset. It's got to be that disc, hasn't it? Maybe it's the 12 volts on the back. It's not making a good connection, because I just wobbled the power and then it's instantly started working. Look. Yeah, so I'm wondering if this is just a power thing, because that drive is almost certainly going to be using the 12 volt rail. Let's just see if that loads. Let me connect sound up, because we haven't got sound just now. The interesting thing with this, listen to the first few lines of dialogue, assuming this loads. Hang on. I think he's supposed to say, "for my first trick." And I can't find a version of this where it actually says that properly. It always says "my first." I tried a number of different ISOs, and this is obviously an original disc.
For my first pulling the dog out of the hat.
Did you hear? For my first pulling the dog out of the hat. It's supposed to say "for my first trick." What happened to the trick? Now I think if you, that might even be CD audio, and I think if you actually
Impressed, eh?
look at the disc itself, you know, like in a CD player, I think that is there. I don't know, maybe it's not, maybe it's from Paula. Maybe they just cut the word trick out. Might be thinking of the PC version.
Let me try that again.
Anyway, that is working. So let's switch that off. Let's just try a couple of the discs here. Maybe it's those media range discs. You know, it looks alright. It's a kind of yellowy though. And this is the thing, you know, the media. So this is one of the JVC ones, whatever it's in. Tao Yuden. Yeah, there's a nasty scratch there, I don't know. Oh, it's not, it's just a bit of dust. There is a scratch there though, just a tiny little one. Let's try Wing Commander then. See what happens with that. These discs are usually really good on any system. Straight away that. Hang on. I was going to say that's spinning, I can't honestly tell. I don't think it is. Or is it? No, that's not spinning, I don't think. Yeah, it's not moving, look. Shut it down a sec. Now you see it's just not seeing that. So there is some sort of problem. I can't believe all these discs would have gone bad. So switch it off. Laser just needing that little tweak. See, I can't remember what I left this at when we calibrated it. And it's spinning now. I may have just left it suitable for press discs and not really test thoroughly enough with burnt media. Yeah, that came up pretty quick as well. So yeah, this is the CD32 version of Wing Commander. Anyway, the fact that worked tells me what I need to know, I think. So let's try another game here. Now, I think there is an ODE for this system, isn't there? Banshee, that's on a Maxell disc. These are usually okay on this. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, spinning was a good sign. And very quickly came up with that, but you know it's kind of identified. Oh, there you go. This is an interesting one. I was reading about someone who had one of these. I forget who it was. They said they bought one. It was Glenn at CRG, and he said he got this not enough memory, and then took it back, I think. Or it might not be in this game. It might have been another game, actually. It was Beneath the Steel Sky. But the thing is, if I just power cycle it, you get that not enough memory based on the fact that the title screen came up at the beginning. In other words, if you boot it without the the splash screen coming on, like this, it'll probably work. If the splash screen comes up, then you don't have enough memory. Look, it's worked, see? That's a stupid bug, isn't it? It really is. This game seems to have that error more often than not. So yeah, that was some bug that Commodore left in, that when the the title screen sticky disc is there, something's not freed up properly. Something gets initialized somewhere, whereby you then boot, you get an issue. There might be a later version of the ROM that may have shipped for CD32 that fixed that. I don't know. Maybe I've just got an early one here. But anyway, that is starting to load. Not hearing any music or anything, but I don't think it's got a a CD soundtrack. This, I think it just uses Paula again. Many of the CD32 games did. Yeah, I can hear music. I think it's got a CD audio track, this one. Very faint though. Anyway, let's take that disc out. Maybe it's not a CD audio track, because I took the disc out then and it kept going. Alright, try Skeleton Crew. See what happens with that. So again, it's a Maxell disc. Perfect, spinning. So yeah, it did just need that tiny little tweak, I think. And of course the laser, hang on, yeah, hang on, is that booting? I don't know what that's doing there. Maybe it's not, maybe it's struggling again. Yeah, that is struggling. Switch it off and on. I might need to do more adjustment on this. Like, when you're working on something like this, you really want no background sound, like that fan heater I've got, you can hear in the background. I need that off, really, because then I'll be able to hear whether it's having any focus problems, is it seeking around, etc. I've been stuck on a black screen for quite a while. It's still spinning. Look, it's going again. I just think it's trying to reread. So Skeleton Crew seems to have some kind of issue, doesn't it? Yeah, so lots of messing around with laser voltage got me nowhere. Covering the clear window there, I got the idea that ambient light might be affecting it. Tried pressing the lid down, and obviously tried cleaning the laser lens, which is the very first thing I did off camera anyway. Right, I've set the laser pot back. Do you know what? I think I might have worked it out. I actually think it's this flat flex, because I just tried to just gently press it, and then it just came out completely, which makes me think it's just been hanging there. Why did Commodore do it this way? I really despise this. This is the worst of any of these systems. For trying to get this flat flex back in. It's like there's no clearance here on the shield. The shield just gets right down. If you lift this side up, then you can't lift that side up. Oh God, so I don't know. So fed up with this. The problem is this ribbon is not long enough. This is the thing. I spent 10 minutes trying to connect that flat flex back up. Right, carefully without stressing it. Like that. Let's try it again. I'm going to be so annoyed if that's all it was. Like that was loose the whole time. Because that would explain, wouldn't it, following on from the CD32 recap video I did. Like, did I test that drive at the end? I don't remember. Actually, maybe I didn't. There you go, test all functions and features on something when you work on it. Maybe I need a new ribbon. But I don't think that ribbon's damaged. It doesn't look damaged. It's not doing anything now. Oh, it is. But it gave up. It was a bit disconcerting. It started making a grinding noise. I just got the light wave, well, the brain wave, about lights, you know, lights in here. I wondered if it was like being glared by light shining through the disc, reflecting in there through that bay. And it started to load. It got further, a lot quicker, and then went, which is a bit strange. So see what happens this time. Right, so I was up till 1:30 in the morning last night trying to fix this. Yeah, so what I ended up doing is obviously took this out, as you can see, yeah, unscrewed the 3 screws that hold this thing here into the lid, yeah. It's 2 parts this, and I did sort of rotate these separate from each other because you've got to do that, otherwise it won't come out of that. Yeah, so I show you, twist, this twists, hang on. There you go, you can see it twists like that. Yeah, and one way when it's pulled out there, then it lifts. But you need that there to provide some weight to hold that and provide the magnetism there. You can see under here I've got a piece of plastic just to support these metal connections here. You have to be careful not to inhibit this here, or the lens won't move up and down properly. So it's all precariously balanced like that. And I tweaked the laser, tweaked the laser, tweaked the laser, tweaked the laser. I kid you not, I had to move the laser like a quarter of a turn around. Now, I was thinking back, when I originally did the CD32 repair and I set that laser, I'm like, wow, these settings are well out. The ones on the PCB and the actual laser itself, it was completely, vastly different to where it should have been. And everything was working at the end of that video, but then we've recapped it, and that's the thing I come back to here. I'm like, why is it not working since I recapped it? I think it's about voltages. I think some voltage somewhere has been affected by the recap. It's now higher than it was, and of course the calibration's got knocked out, yeah, which is not something you might immediately expect. I wouldn't have done. So you can see there, it's had a go, look, spins, and it works perfectly. This, it reads super quick, it boots everything apart from one disc, and I'll show you that disc in a minute. Yeah, I just moved that in real time so you can see how quick it is now. There are no delays, no struggling. Yeah, so I've solved it. But I did have to adjust that laser pot a quarter of a turn, like vastly different from where it was. So yeah, there you go. You've learned something, that if you're going to consider fixing something with a laser problem, do make sure you've recapped the system before you do that laser adjustment, because you might not actually need to do a laser adjustment. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a cap on the 12 volt rail that was pulling the 12 volt rail down a little bit, because you know they go like low, high ESR, low ESR is it? You know, they become a resistor, and there were that many caps bad. It wouldn't surprise me. But anyway, it's perfect. It's seamless. You know, there's no glitches, interruptions, or anything. It's just perfect. I'll test an audio CD or 2 out next. So I just power that off. So yeah, very pleased. And as I say, I've gone through every one of my burnt and original discs here, and they all work perfectly apart from one. And this is where I might need to do some further adjustment. I did also adjust this spindle, and it moves really easy. That was one of the first things I remember when I got this system, that someone had been tinkering with that. Now, see if you can spot what might be an issue with this disc. And in fact, I'm not sure it's doing the same thing it was before now. No, it is. It's not reading it. And it's the wobble. It's wobbling a bit, this one. Yeah, so interestingly, that disc doesn't work. Now, it's a different media, I think. It's media range. And this is the thing, can you see it's like gold? So I just think that this media, certainly the way things are set at the moment, is, you know, it's just not happy with it. At this point I messed around with the laser settings for a while, and I kind of started to get this brainwave that had all been about the recap. I'm just trying to adjust these back to when I originally got it, the original positions. I thought someone had messed with it, maybe they didn't, and I'm going to put the original laser back on it. I've still got that laser, because no matter how much calibration I do here, I cannot get it working at all. It's like, well, I can get it working, but then it doesn't work with one disc, it works with another, etc. And it's I mean, look how wildly different those were. There we go. So those are all back in position. I'll screw that board back in now. Let's just move Kavanagh's cam out of the way. And as I say, I've got the original laser here, so I am going to fit it again. It's yeah, it's a bit of messing around, isn't it? A bit of a rigmarole. This really difficult to work on. I hate the CD32. I really do. I mean, alright, it's got some amazing features that I do like and admire, but it's also got some blooming annoying ones, like the drive, and how hard it is to actually work on the drive. Everything there looks okay. The assembly, let's just try that, moves okay. Switch it on. Right, well, there's a good sign with the mech moving. But bear in mind, there you go, it started to spin a little bit. Right, that tells me there's some life in that laser, because this laser will have been, well, faffed around with. Yeah, so what I need to do, really, is just have a look at it. Maybe I would have marked it when I originally got it. And if I did, that would be super good. I don't know. I think we're just going to have to just try this. I'm just going to have to just gradually rotate. I can actually get the screwdriver in there, so let's just go that way a bit. There is a chance that someone did faff around with this and maybe the laser had died. Right, I'm going to put it in the middle again. I'm going to start going clockwise a little bit. Oh, look. Right, so give up a bit. That tells me it's perhaps not strong enough. So, I mean, this is Skeleton Crew. I've been having no end of trouble trying to get this dialed in with that other laser assembly. It does take a little while to load. Oh, it was quite quick actually. It's whether it does this next bit. There we go. Oh, that's it. It's fixed. Thank God for that. So, yeah, it's yet another lesson in AliExpress junk. You know, because this is the thing. It is about this laser. That has worked. That has worked. So its original laser works fine. And you know what? Just looking at this laser, I'll show you in a minute on the microscope. I see some horrible marks on the lens. So anyway, I'll test the rest of my discs out, and I guess this just highlights the fragility of these systems, in that, you know, the lasers, you know, they're getting on the last legs. Yeah, you might be able to replace, like I've tried to do on this with third-party ones. The one I got for MainMeister was a lot better. Let's try this disc, because this disc is the one that I just absolutely could not get working at any point of all the tinkering I've just been doing. I'd be surprised if it does work, but let's just give it a try. Oh my... No, I was going to say, oh my god, that's worked. It's not. Struggling. And this is just the thing about the media type. I think it's got like a golden sort of surface to it. All these other discs will probably work. That one, it's no likey. I spent ages messing with the laser again after noticing it was a bit unreliable. It was better, but not perfect. And it's silent. Bear in mind, it's on its original calibrated factory settings now. I mean, it's exactly set as I got it. So that's a correction to the original video. I don't think someone had tinkered with it. But they do wildly vary, you know, the settings. This is the thing, you can compare to another drive, and they'll be nowhere near where they were on another drive. So, yeah, that's where things get complicated. Because people will say, where shall I set these pots? So I'm like, well, you can start by setting them in the middle. but where they'll end up, some of them will be quite a long way around. You know, if you set them at 50, all of them at 50%, yeah, one of them will be like that, one of them will be like that, and then the other ones will be sort of slightly to the side. So they do vary quite a bit in terms of the exact geometry. Is that really the right way of describing it? The strength of the coils, you know, how good those coils are, how springy the assembly is that those coils are on, where it drives it. All of those things have an effect, including, you know, tolerances in the inductance of the coils, how strong the drive is from the PCB in terms of driving those. You get just tiny variations that mean they do need to be adjusted on an individual basis. I always thought the controls on this game were absolutely nuts. It's like Attack from the Planet of the Robot Monsters, but harder. There's like two fire buttons. One rotates and fires one way. I mean, there might be other buttons, I don't know. I'm using James's adapter here from Retro HQ. But that works. I did just tweak it slightly higher voltage, thinking it needed it, and actually it was the controller. I had it in the wrong mode. And every time I pressed the C button, it quit out, and I thought, is there a problem with it? So let's try base jumpers again. Because this is the thing, this laser doesn't like these discs either, so I've got two different types of discs this laser doesn't like. But I'll be honest, if it's working with the ones, you know, the number of discs I've tried, I can always just reburn them onto a different media. This is the one that was going backwards before. Yeah, look. So there you go. So I rewrote the games that weren't working on Maxell CDR here. They're rated up to 52 speed. These discs work. They're a bit noisy, but load really quick and stuff, and they're just reliable. Yeah, as you can just about see there. So, Alien Breed and Quack on the same disc. It's crazy, some of these discs, it's like, they took like literally 3 seconds to read, because it's literally, you know, 3 megabytes or something on the first track, and that's it. And I don't think that differs at all from the standard version you play from floppy. I don't think you gain anything extra. I think you get key down there somewhere, don't you? Oh, it's a key, yeah. Yeah, so here we are. Final test now. All of these discs work okay. They're all, I think, maybe except for one Taoyudan Maxell, all of them work fine. This was the most problematic. So what I did with the laser voltages, I turned it down so it was just about working with all those discs there, well, working perfectly. And then came to test this one. In fact, you can see it's going backwards again there. So you know what, this one may just need a tweak still. Finally got it all back together, so that really did stress me out no end. So the final thing I did is I ended up just lowering this a little bit. It's very close to this. But I was looking at Mainmeister's and his was not dissimilar. It might have been a bit higher up. Then I noticed the PSU was giving voltage drop again. Now I know what you're thinking. Voltage drop, a bit like the capacitance change from doing the capacitors. Yep, you guessed it, I had to recalibrate it all again. So here we are with a new power supply. The 5 volts and the 12 volts is really good now, which means it was struggling to read again. So I had to adjust the laser level again. Whilst I've got it dialed in almost right now, it's noisy. Yeah, that is okay. And it's not quite as good as it could be in terms of read with 1 or 2 of these discs. So it looks like I would need to adjust it again, just from changing the power supply. So, it kind of cements it in my head. Oh, I pressed the thing when I lifted it, didn't I? Yeah, I caused a problem there. It kind of cements it in my head that this is the worst CD unit in any console, really. Because, I mean, maybe it's to do with the power supply, because if you think about other systems, the power supply is built in. So any variances on the logic levels there, not logic levels, but the supply levels, may mean there's no issues. But also, I need to have a look at the drive logic board. I'm guessing there might be the odd 5 volt regulator on there that's taking it from maybe the 12, but I think there's definitely, well, there's definitely a relationship to the voltage. Anyway, that is working. It seems to be working pretty well, actually, at the moment. So, I don't think it needs further calibration, but it is noisy. But that did work, and this disc is a pain in the bum to load, which is weird. It's the same media as any of the other discs I've got here, and it was burned to the same speed, but this one is harder to load, and it's equally as clean as the others. And the final thing I'll leave you with in this video of pointlessness, really, is this is the thing that's making the sort of noise as it spins. I thought it was the coils. Now there was a relationship to that when you adjusted them it affects it, but it's bound to, because it will change the RPM speed marginally if it's not able to focus and stuff, and then it's going to make a different sound here. But this bit here, I think it sort of sags like that, and then this plastic bit rubs like that. This is just like on a PC Engine, so I'm going to get some Molykote CM30L stuff. Notice that when you lift the lid here, the noise stops straight away. So I'm like, yeah, that's where the sound's coming from. It isn't the coils at all, it's that. So anyway, let's just get any excess grease off there so it doesn't get onto the disc. And on the underside here as well, just wipe off any excess. It could also be this metal bit here hanging down on the rubbing on there. So actually I'm going to get some on this side as well. And then if this is sliding and rubbing on there like that, that should solve it, I think. So yeah, get your screw through the hole first, somewhere where you're not going to drop it like that, and then just try to line one of them up. Get it nice and straight. That's it. Don't over tighten it, but just do it firm enough to hold. Get the screw onto there. It's like, how does that work? You put some grease on there, now it's not working. It's like it's got calibrated to take into account friction or something. I don't know. That's bizarre, and this is a pressed disc, look. That makes no sense. Let's try that again. Let's power it off and on. Is it about the power switch? Because you get voltage drop with that power switch. Because that's the next thing on this. I might be doing a follow-up. That's so silent when that spins now. Yeah, that is not reading. So somehow that has had an effect on the laser, I think, actually. I actually think we need more laser power when you've got problems. Let's just turn that back that way and try it. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm explaining this very well, but it's like you have a relationship between the focus, the tracking, and the different things that affect those. That's reading now. I turned the voltage down. We needed less voltage when that spindle was lubricated. That is definite. That is definite. The CD player's up. Let me just try playing that. It's silent though. Silent.
When 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not,
Right, and I did just do a load more tinkering with the 4 pots on the PCB. And the way I did that, hang on. Yeah, right, I've just powered it off again. I haven't switched the wrong power supply off. If you remember the original video series, I relocated one of the screws from here on there. Well, I took that one out, which means you can unclip this, and I use this thing, something that's got a L thing like that, just some tool you've got to just gently get under there, and you can sort of prise this here, and then you get the pots there, and then I had it on its side like this. I used a potentiometer and adjusted the focus and tracking individually on each one to make it silent, and it's loading a lot quicker. So yeah, it's, you know, I haven't done anything with the scope or anything there, but you can tend to do things like this by ear, but it takes a lot of trial and error. But what's been working against me is the grease thing on there, the power switch, and the power supply. All of those things have had a massive effect, and obviously the laser voltage as well. So I don't really know what else to suggest. You see, what I was going to do, I was going to refer back to Retro Game Mods' series, the video he did, a 4-hour long video. And he's removed it. Now, I think I downloaded that somewhere. I actually got a copy of it. Yeah, me bad. Because I suspected at some point he would remove it. I don't know why, I just did. Because he was getting lots and lots and lots and lots of praise, but there were one or two idiots in the chat. And I thought, and you could tell he was getting cheesed off with it. Anybody would. So I thought, maybe he'll pull it at some point. So anyway, I'll try and find that. And if I can, I can't really share it, it's not mine. But I wanted to refer back specifically to the bias adjustments. I didn't need to do that though. I think the way things stand now, if we try that again, let's just try it with the audio disc, and then I'll try it with the other two discs that are problematic. Yeah, that's working. So let's take the disc out. So that's booting straight up on the Amiga there, really quick. Now, this is the thing here now. The adjustments I've just done, this is super, super, super quick. Well, you can tell, it's loaded straight away. So I'm confident, for about the 15th time I've said this, I am confident now that that is as good as I am going to get this. You know, the LED access, instead of it staying on and flickering for ages, maybe as many as 20 seconds at that point, it wasn't. It took just a few seconds. It'll do a load here, I'm watching this. That was really quick. And of course that adjusts the timing of this intro. You'll hear the intro music here longer. And again, I was load there. That was quicker, much quicker. And yeah, and this music, let's say, by now the screen previously just appeared and I had to wait for it to go all the way up there, I think. Maybe not, maybe it is just synced the same, I don't know, but it's loading a lot quicker. Yeah, it's okay. You can hear it seeking about to get these individual, I think they're audio tracks. They might not be though, there might be actually data within the disc. But it seeks to each one of these voiceover bits. Right, so I'm sorry that video was painful to watch. It was painful to do, to be honest. And yeah, just to reevaluate here, you can see there's the third party laser, and I've talked about this before. The one that's in there, I'll show you in a minute, the laser lens is got like a blue metal, like an oily sort of reflective surface, better with different types of CDR. This one, although it was working previously with different types of CDR, it wasn't earlier on. I actually think I could have got this dialed in perfectly. What I wasn't aware is this voltage drop issue. I also wasn't aware of the fact that when I originally messed around with this, I messed around with the spindle height. If you adjust the spindle height, that has a direct relationship to the focus coils and the levels that those need to be driven at. The level of the focus coils, in terms of having a bias, has a relationship to your voltages. Yeah, everything is related, yeah, including the grease on the thing there. At the points towards the back end of this, where you saw me grease up the thing here, yeah, it was really noisy. It was going, but it sounded like the coils, and I was like trying to adjust the tracking and the focus, the bias adjustments and stuff, and the gain ones. And when I adjusted those, the grinding noise went quieter, yeah? And this is the thing, you can think, what the hell is the relationship to the noise that this here is making, yeah, in terms of the tracking and focus? How does that work? And it's because the RPM has tiny slight adjustments, as well as the coils, when you adjust those things, in order that the laser can track properly, yeah? So it can get quieter as a result of adjusting those potentiometers. The bottom line is, each thing then knocks everything else on. So when I re-greased this, I had to adjust the laser voltage again, yeah, which seems ridiculous. It seems farcical. The same thing holds true of the power supply and the power switch. Believe it or not, the power switch on these can cause you read problems, yeah. It's the same switch, I think, that's used on the C64, so I've got some of those. I'm probably going to swap this one out. If I press this on in a spongy sort of way, gently like that, there's like a 50-50, it might not read. If I flick it on like that, because I know the contacts are dirty in it, and the same thing happens if I spray it with contact cleaner, it's then super, 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 super reliable, yeah? I mean, it's not got a disc in there at the moment, but anyway, the bottom line is, all of these things have a relationship. Can you see that's like bluey? It's got a nice glossy blue surface to it. But that is the original laser that I deemed as faulty, that we replaced. The spindle height has been reduced here, again, back to what I would call factory. I was able to look at the Mainmeister video and set this the same height. It's just wide enough to get maybe 50% thicker than that under there. You know, you can see there's, you know, a height of about, I would say, 1 millimeter below this, yeah, which means it's sort of just the right height, perfect. And it's, when we talk about the relationship there to the focus coils, if you get this too high, obviously if you've only got this small window of tolerance there that the lens is able to move up and down, and you shift this too high, you know, you end up with, you know, your disc out of the range, or you end up with a disc right at the top of the focus thing there. So the focus needs to be bang in the middle, you know, to be able to track the disc and stuff. And you get this problem where they get out of sync. So this has got to be spot on. Your voltage has got to be right. Your power switch has got to be right. You want to make sure that's greased up, yeah. And what else is there? I think that's it in general. I greased up the track again, you know, for the thing to run up and down. The potentiometers were left almost in the original position. It's silent because of the grease thing there. The crazy thing with that grease thing is, like I say, it sped it up significantly. It's like when that was greased, it started to be able to read a lot better, as well as being silent. And finally, the power supply. You know, I got one of these here, 30 watt power supply. It's actually on at the moment, from this company, Sawdown. Yeah, so it's a modern sort of switch mode power supply. It's pretty beefy. 5 volts, 4.2 amps, 12 volts, 3 amps. It's worth getting one of these if you're going to fit a TF330 or a TF360. My TF360 was super sulky with the voltage, so I was already onto the voltage drop thing. You saw that in a previous video, and I dealt with it at the power connector side of things, but it was still an issue. Anyway, I do hope you found that crazy video useful. I will catch you in the next video.